In Gene Roddenberry's Futurama's classic episode, Amazon Women in the Mood, Fry, a space delivery boy, gets captured by huge space Amazon women. Space Wonder Woman not included. Also captured is his spaceship captain, Zap Brannigan, and his spaceship lieutenant, Kif, both of whom are space sentenced to space death by Snu Snu, which is space Amazon's space word for space sex. In space. And that seems like a pretty fun space-themed romp, but Hollywood's got some weird assumptions about masculine and feminine roles, and to be honest, maybe we all do, so let's swap those sexy space women for sexy space men and see how that makes us feel. Because you're watching Gender Swap, I'm Allie, and this is the hilarious classic episode of Futurama, now titled Spoo Spoo, all about attempted murder via gangbang? So, this particular Futurama episode became such a big hit that Snu Snu has entered internet vernacular. It refers to doing it with big, tall women, which is a conversation that's had much more than you might expect. For example, when the trailer for Resident Evil Village debuted that 9-foot-tall vampire lady, the internet was flooded with guys publicly begging for a Snu Snu session with the character.
I never thought I would die like this, but I'd always really hoped.
Because getting rid of bullying was a mistake. But what about a gender-flipped version of the episode? So now 2 women crash land on a planet full of massive, scantily clad men with terrible grammar.
Dungeons and Dragons, a Sith, man and elves.
They try and hide from the large men, but soon realize they're actually hiding in one of the men's skirts. And they realize this when they look up the skirt and catch a glimpse of the massive member that'll cause their deaths. No, I'm telling the truth. This is serious. Anyway, another woman and a female-presenting robot also travel to the planet to save their friends, but are themselves captured.
Oh God, you're killing me. Oh God, you're killing me.
Now the 4 women are tied to a wall, and a computer sentences them to be killed by sex. Again.
Literally.
And to be clear,
death by Snu Snu
now refers to forming a line of men who intend to approach these captive women one at a time and perform rough, clumsy sex on them until eventually their pelvises are literally crushed by the act. Now, to be fair, the space captain and space delivery woman are mostly on board with this plan.
Yeah!
They don't really want to die, presumably, but they love sex so goddamn much, it's a risk they're willing to take. Now that already paints our characters in a very different light. Men who might want to be killed by sex are just classic man, am I right? And a version of this non-dilemma shows up in hundreds of movies. But women wanting to be taken by a bunch of anonymous men? That feels different.
Yes, a little tighter. Tighter.
Audiences might consider them disgusting or slutty, despite having the exact same disposition as their male counterparts. This type of woman is actually depicted a lot in porn. In shitty, bad porn. But somehow, that's not the truly terrifying part. There's also a sweet little alien female who is so shy around the opposite sex to the point that she calls up the crush she's had for over a year without ever gaining the courage to actually talk to them. As you might imagine, she is not excited to have her bones get boned
into dust.
That is still exactly what happens to her. I mean, none of them die, because they're eventually saved, but not until after they've been violated by probably a half dozen of these large men.
Guards! Remove the human's lower horn and prepare it to be eaten by me!
But they are saved, so it's fine. Right? Well, that sweet, innocent little alien girl's crush that I mentioned earlier, as soon as they're back on Earth, he immediately propositions her. She's been repeatedly violated, they've never been on a real date, but immediately the man tries to have sex with her as soon as he realizes she's somewhat interested in him as a person. Flip the genders around, and you no longer have one of the most famous sci-fi animated shows ever, but rather something you can only watch by going on the dark web and paying Bitcoin for banned Futurama episode, the one that got everyone arrested.mp4. The episode sends out 2 awful messages to the viewer. One is that all men want sex all the time, even if it would literally kill them. And any men who don't want to inexplicably f everything in sight clearly have something wrong with them.
What are you, gay?
The second one is the belief that there are circumstances in which non-consensual sex can be harmless, silly fun, I guess. All this to say, let's be totally clear, if everyone consents, there's nothing wrong with a person doing a little gynecological spelunking with giant women or men or any other sort of giant sentient being of age.
I had Snu Snu.
If you're totally into getting your pelvis crushed into powder finer than the illicit substance this episode was probably written on, more power to you. Still, don't die though, please. It just isn't cool to suggest that the only reason somebody wouldn't want to get literally gang-banged or even single-banged before a real first date is because they're some kind of sexless wimp weirdo and or a literal alien.
Pretty good story, eh, Hermes?
Stick to someone else, you windy barnacle!
This particular Futurama says, fuck you. If everyone consents, there is nothing wrong with a little thank you. Oh, a ghost! I love ghosts.